Good evening and welcome to the Monday, December 13th Muscatine School District Board of Education meeting. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll and help us determine the quorum, please?
Sure. Director Connard,
Here. Sorry.
Cooney,
Here.
DeBeat,
Here.
LaRue,
Here.
Morgan,
Here.
Phillips. Here. Sure.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Pledge of the Allegiance tonight by Miss Mary Kessner, fourth-year-old preschool class. So please help us by standing up and recite the pledge. Thank you to Miss Mary Kessner and her students, the four-year-old preschool class. It's always, every school board meeting, I look forward to see who's reciting the pledge for us. So that's a great thing to get our student participating this way in our meetings. The next item is the MHS Student School Board Representative updates. None of them is here with us tonight due to the busy time right now. They are involved with too many programs, too many events at the school, so they are not here with us. Clint, do you have anything to report on their behalf, or shall we?
I do not, but again, it is just a super busy time for kids, so we certainly understand that, and we look forward to their report next month.
Okay, thank you. Next item is Citizen Speaks. If anyone in the audience wants to address the board, please step to the podium, state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes on the screen. Per Iowa code, the board is not able to respond to citizens during Citizen Speaks. My understanding that will be a list of names for those who sign up. No names? Okay, Tony, anybody would like to approach the podium and talk? Okay, thank you. The next item is board targets, and I will go through 3 items. Students will graduate prepared for post-secondary options. Item 2, Muscatine schools will utilize resources effectively and equitably. Item 3, students will learn in a positive and supportive environment. And under this, we have the dual language programs update. Becky, I think you will be sharing some updates with us. And then the second item is teacher and learning updates, and I think Joel will be giving the updates.
All right, good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'd like to give you an update on our dual language immersion program. We held a parent meeting on December 6th in the Muskie room at the board office. In your board packet, you have a copy of the detailed presentation. It was a parent informational meeting. It lasted about an hour, so this is loaded with information, so you can look at that as well. We will continue to hold more informational meetings in January and in February. So as you remember that this program is open to all students in Muscatine boundaries that are entering kindergarten in the fall or 4-year-old preschool at Melk. But this is not a mandatory program, so parents have choice in this manner. So families, if they're interested, they need to submit electronically a dual language interest form to be considered for entrance. The window for applying will be from January 3rd when we return from winter break up until April 15th. So we will mirror what we did this year at Melk. We had 20 available seats in the 4-year-old section, and we will have 25 available seats at the section of kindergarten. We have deemed Franklin Elementary School the school for the dual language immersion program, so we will have one section of kindergarten that will have 25 available seats in it. So once all of our classrooms are filled, we will have an additional 5 students be selected per building and put on a waiting list. As you know, sometimes when parents make a decision in April, sometimes that decision changes when we come to fall. So we want to make sure that we have a waiting list with students if we need to contact them as well. We will follow the same format that we do with preschool registration and acceptance. We follow a lottery system. So we'll do that same lottery system, and that will take place the week of April 18th. All families will be notified of their acceptance or non-acceptance the week of April 25th. And why we chose those dates was district-wide, we have kindergarten classroom visits that are happening on May 5th. We call it Sneak a Peek. And we wanted our 25 students that will be attending Franklin in the dual language immersion section to meet their teacher and go to Franklin. So that's why we landed on these dates specifically. A kindergarten teacher has been secured at Franklin. We're really excited about that. And many of you know Miss Noelia, who's currently the bilingual teacher at Melk. She will continue teaching the section of 4-year-old preschool at Melk. So as a district, and we have a dual language leadership committee, our work is to continue to market the dual language program. Many of you might have saw a flyer like this that was posted throughout social media and other multimedia platforms. We will continue to make our community aware of this new program. Parents have a choice. All of our elementary principals have information, so if parents reach out to their elementary building, they can answer their questions. They can also contact Corey Spees. Corey is the principal at Franklin Elementary, or they can contact myself if they have specific questions. So we just want to continue to get the word out in our community that this is a choice. If you have a incoming kindergartner or an incoming 4-year-old that will be attending Melk. We will continue professional development in the area of dual language programming and instruction. So we have worked extensively with CAL, which that stands for the Center of Applied Linguistics. So we followed their guiding principles in creating the dual language program and implementation. And they offer professional development that our teachers can attend virtually. So we thought that that would be something that our teachers would be interested in learning more and attending. We're currently going to do a current audit of the resources that we currently have and the availability of resources in Spanish. We know we're going to have to order print materials in Spanish just like we do in English. And we've noticed considerably this year there's a delay in sometimes what we order and when we get it. So we want to get ahead of the curve. So whatever we need to order in Spanish, we want to make sure that those print materials are ready to go in the fall. And then we also continue to look at other schools, whether that's an in-person visit or a virtual meet, to look at other examples of dual language programs that we can network and collaborate with as well. So what questions, if any, does the board have?
Becky,
Yes.
what was the turnout like on December 6th for the first parent meeting?
So we had 15 families attend, and then we were also live streaming it through social media. And I'm looking at Tony. Do you remember throughout the time, do you remember how many people we had connect? Yes, we recorded it, so we will continue to push that out and then visit other community or within our community to market it, because we do think that that's key in getting the word out.
Do we know when the next one is scheduled for? Did I miss that?
We have not. We talked about doing an informational meeting during the day. This one was held at 6 o'clock at night, so we wanted to offer a day option, another evening option, and we wanted to offer a Zoom as well, or do one virtual. We haven't selected dates yet, but we will do those when we return in January and February.
And you mentioned that PD is available. Who's receiving the PD right now?
So what we would do is we would, now that the school, Franklin, has been deemed the school that will have it, we will open it up to teachers, especially our incoming kindergarten teacher, and then Noelia as well. And then Corey Spees, the principal, was interested too.
I would consider adding the first grade and second grade teachers. I don't think you can get too far in front of the PD.
Right.
So the more they get, the even if they know that they're not going to have somebody for a couple of years, they're still going to be ahead of the game. So just my recommendation.
Will you just clarify what is PD?
Professional development,
Oh,
professional learning.
okay. And is that a team? What do they do? Sorry, you just confused me.
No, great question. So we would consider PD professional development training for teachers.
For staff that would be interested in participating in this?
Correct. So we currently have a dual language district committee. So we do a lot of training, we call it professional development, but training with that committee. We've included more teachers on that committee now that Franklin has been the school of choice. So that kindergarten teacher will be added into that committee along with, we already had 3 people from Franklin on it already. But yeah, so basically training. It's a fancy word for training.
I understood professional development. I didn't know if it was one of those fancy
It's-
school acronyms that I
We
should
forget we
learn.
speak teacherese.
Yeah, sorry.
So I sometimes forget that, which is sad.
Any question for Becky? Any other? Thank you, Becky, for
Welcome.
this presentation and for the details that you provided us with in terms of dates and when parents can really engage in this process and so on. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
So I wanted to give the board an update on our Edgenuity enrollment for our school district. Edgenuity is our online program that we use for students in kindergarten through 12th grade. Edgenuity provides teachers for our students and the courses and the coursework. And the district, we cover the cost for students to be in that program. So first semester, which is we're finishing up on, coming up here in the next few weeks, well, actually in January, I guess, when we get back from break, we had 66 students that were enrolled in Edgenuity. And the breakdown for that was we had 19 that were in elementary, 15 from Susan Clark, and 32 from our high school. The principals have been working with those families and then other families who might be interested, as well as our counselors in our district, to get students enrolled or a commitment for second semester. And as of today, we have 24 students who are going to be enrolled in Edgenuity for second semester. The breakdown right now is that we have 10 from elementary, 6 from Susan Clark, and 8 from the high school. However, I do expect that high school number to go up just a little bit because we are still waiting on a few families to make a final decision. So once we get into second semester and those numbers are finalized, I will give you an update on that at that time. Do you have any questions regarding our online programming for second semester?
Yes, just from the standpoint, if I may, my understanding is, and I might be wrong here, but the intent was that if you started with it in the fall, the intent was they were supposed to be able to do it for the full year.
Mm-hmm.
And so you indicated what, we had 66 to begin with?
Well, actually, the intent was if they committed to it, it was for a semester, not for the whole year.
Okay.
So they did have the opportunity to make a choice at semester. With that, we always have families whose circumstances may change. And, you know, if that happens, that family works with the principal, and then we want to offer, you know, a solution to that so that the child still can receive an education.
Sure. Okay, I apologize. I understand that the intent was actually for at least a semester, because otherwise you're going back and
Yes.
forth.
Yeah.
But thinking that maybe they would do for a year. So apparently there's enough parents and or students that decided that they wanted to come to class instead then.
Correct. And, you know, I think there were multiple reasons that families made a choice to either come back. You know, sometimes kids had a difficult time keeping up with coursework. Sometimes circumstances changed with families. Some it had to do with vaccination availability, so there were, really lots of different reasons that parents chose or will continue to choose to use the program or not.
Thank you.
Joel, I have a couple of questions. Now, is there like a deadline to when families will decide, for example, if they want to continue next semester or not? That's one. And the other one is, let's assume some students or parents, they choose that this semester. Can they do that next semester?
Can they
Like
choose?
online? Can they put their students online next semester? Or it has to be a continuation of this semester?
So it can be a restart for second semester. So parents, if they chose it first semester but don't want to do it second semester, that's fine. If they were in person and then choose to go online, that's fine as well. The deadline, kind of similar to what Mrs. Witchers just talked about, for us to get materials ordered and in place for elementary students, we do need to have a count before families left for break. For our junior high and high school students, they could enroll up to January 10th. And then at that time, we would need to have a decision. We did take a few students, like, the week after, because they're still able to keep up with the coursework. But once the course gets started, it's really difficult to make up the work and the time that they've missed.
Thank you.
Are we doing anything to assess, as if the kids that are coming back into the classroom, to assess where they are, if they will fit right into the class?
Yeah, so at the elementary level, students who are in Edgenuity but fell below benchmark on FAST, because we do, all of those students are required to still take state assessments. So any students in elementary that fell below the benchmark, those students were required to be progress monitored, just like our in-person students. So for those students, we have that data. We did follow progress of every student online, so looking at their coursework, just if they were keeping up with coursework, grades, things like that. For some students that had a more difficult time keeping up, those students might be asked to come back. Just because we want to make sure that they are receiving an education. So there were some students like that needed to come back that were struggling and falling very far behind. For those students, we offered Odyssey, which is also an online program, and then or in person. But I would say, yes, for every student, we have been monitoring all of that work. It's a different program, so, the same standards are taught, but again, it's an online program, so it's always, a different approach to learning.
Okay.
So are you saying that those that have come back, that would be coming back, that they still have an option of something that's an online?
We do have an Odyssey-ware program available at the high school, which is kind of a credit recovery program. We have a staff member who's assigned to that who can work with students through that program as well.
To basically to help to catch them up more then by doing that.
I wouldn't say it's to catch them up from Edgenuity, but it would be to help them have more support in an online program from our staff.
Gotcha.
Joel, have we tracked with our struggling students, any of our online students, have we compared how they're performing now to how they performed prior to going online, the years before that?
Yeah. I would say many of our students were successful in Edgenuity, and they were successful in person. And so Edgenuity worked really well for those kids as an option. I would say some of our kids that the counselors felt like could possibly do well, Sometimes the reason that they didn't was either they didn't spend enough time online in their programming. So I would just say, you know, the counselors were in constant contact with kids and families as well as administrators to kind of help make good choices for the kids.
I guess I was just kind of curious if there's anything that's different, because I would guess that some of our kids that struggled in person probably still are struggling
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
Some of our kids that were successful in person are still going to be successful. Is there somebody that's successful in one that maybe is not in the other? I don't. and
Yeah,
don't
I
know
would
if we have that
say the pattern
information.
was similar to what you said first, you know, if kids struggle a little bit. And, you know, I mean, like, a lot of kids who, or anyone really, who takes an online class or program, you have to have, you know, a lot of just that
Executive skills.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Could you trace some of this back to, because of the age of the children, as in how well that they've been able to keep up on their reading, then the last couple of years may have been more difficult for them. And so then by not having all that they may need to be able to evaluate the words and everything that they need to do the work in many different subjects, that seems to be a potential there?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, I think in-person school for elementary students, I think we would all agree is better in the sense that, you know, we have our own teachers who are highly qualified. We can offer, you know, supports and things like that for students who may struggle in reading or math. You know, we have those relationships with our families. So, you know, I think if in comparing the two, especially for elementary, I would say that, you know, having kids in person would be our choice.
Great, thank you.
I have a question. So this is a bit of a costly program. So what is the timeline of having to make a decision on whether you're committing another semester or another school year?
Right.
After the next?
Yeah, that's a good question. So once we enroll students, we have a 7-day grace period before we aren't charged. So let's just say I enrolled you. 3 days later, you decide, you know, that's not going to be a fit for you. We can unenroll you and we're not charged. Beyond the 7-day period, we would be charged regardless.
So how long does the school district think that this will be an option offered? Do you have plans to continue offering this program into the next school year or for the foreseeable future?
And I can
Yes.
That
jump
might
in
not
on
be a-
that, just because,
Question to ask at this time?
so part of that is, yes, I think we're always gonna have some option for online, whether that's Edgenuity or some other program is to be determined. I don't know that we've been completely happy with Edgenuity. But the reality is, if we don't have an online option, families will choose that online option somewhere else, and then we lose that to open enrollment. So, I mean, it is important for us to have that option. And again, a number of districts are using Edgenuity because it is, you can enroll them, and they kind of handle it from there. I think they've been kind of overwhelmed as a company, just getting the kinds of support. So I think there's always going to be an online option. Exactly what that is, I'm not sure.
And I would say even opposite of that, there have been families from other districts that, you know, would like to enroll, and we can, you know, put those students on our account if they open
have had
enroll
that
to our
this year.
district.
Any other question? Thank you, Joel.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, moving forward, we move to next item, which is action, possible action. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the director so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence from the agenda. The items are minutes, bills and claims, special education contracts, employment recommendations, approved revised board policies.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here quickly. We do have some mid-year resignations, and as you know, our past practice has been for those mid-year or right at the beginning of the year, we ask that the board approve those pending a suitable replacement. And that just allows us to make sure before that we end that contract with that staff member, we have an opportunity to hire somebody else in their place. And so, given that, our recommendation would be for the board to approve the consent agenda to include mid-year resignations of certified staff teachers, Heimerdinger and Nethery, pending suitable replacements.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda and including the mid-year resignations that Clint mentioned of Heimerdinger and Nethery pending suitable replacement.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the approving the action, possible action with the amendments, here please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carry. Thank you. So we move into our next item, which is item G, to approve the purchase of projectors at MHS Auditorium. What are the wishes of the board?
And move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, so I can just jump in a little bit to provide some context. So this is a special projector for an auditorium. So it is expensive, and the one that we have in that auditorium is significantly past its life cycle, so it's very dim, it's difficult to see, it's not very usable. Because the auditorium has and will continue to be used as a classroom space at times, we're able to leverage those ESSER dollars to replace that. This is something we would need to be replacing anyway. This is a good time to do that, to leverage those funds for that. So that, just some context around that.
Thank you, Clint.
And Clint, those are with ESSER dollars? Is that less the 5,000? Or is that just because what we got was equipment greater than $5,000? So is it?
It includes the 5,000. We have to get pre-approval for anything over 5,000. That's what that meant.
All right.
Any other question? Okay.
What is the lifespan that has a bulb in it, obviously, I'm sure. And I know when I had projectors like that, the bulb is very expensive itself. I would assume that the technology is a little different way, but with the LEDs and everything like that.
With
so the bulb-
LEDs, it's significantly longer. I would say if we can get 10 years out of a projector, we're doing really well.
But just also, it's not just the projector that they're approving, it's all the controls and interactive stuff that goes with that projector, so we can utilize it as a classroom. So, and yeah, it's about 10 years on the LEDs inside of it, pending use.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of purchasing the new projector at MHS Auditorium, please signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose? Okay, motion carry. Thank you. We move to discussion and information, and we move back to Tom, please.
Okay, sure. Tonight I'm reporting October financials, and on page 1, you'll see a timeline of important financial information that will be on the board agenda, either as action items or informational. So next month, on January 10th, we will be talking about at-risk dropout prevention and that modified supplemental amount that we have to ask for fiscal year 23. And then further on down, you can see, what will be on the agenda in February, March, April, and May, and so on. Page 2 of the financial update is our deposit balances reconciled as of October 31st. And we're comparing the balances from the prior month. So one thing I would note that October is that month that we receive our first half of our property tax. So that's why there is, an increase in our cash balance, I guess. So Page 3 is our fund financial summary, looking at October balances and what our fund balances are, and as a comparison to where they were at a year ago. So no surprises or anything that I would point out there. Page 4 is our actual expenses as compared to our published budget. So remember, we published in April of 2020. So we're basically 4 months through our budget year, and 1/3 of the way through, I guess. Most of our expenses are going to be the second 2/3 of the year. So I don't have no red flags on this report. The final 2 pages are our general fund revenues and expenditures as a comparison to October of 2020. On the revenue side, we're right with where our estimated budget is for local and state sources. Obviously, federal lags behind because we have to expend federal money before we get reimbursed. And November was the first month that we were able to submit for all of our title programs, all the ESSER dollars that we've expended. So we should be getting those reimbursed here this month or the first part of January. And the final page is our expenditures compared to October of last year. And again, this is our line item budget. It will change this year because we're still estimating what ESSER expenditures we will have this year. And otherwise, I don't have any red flags about where we're sitting with our general fund expenditures, but it will change. Our line item will change for the expenditures and revenues yet this year. Any questions?
I have a question that has to do with, learned some interesting information when I was up at the school board state
Okay.
meetings.
Okay,
And it was about that dropout at risk
yeah,
area that I briefly talked with. Because it indicated here that in 2013, the legislature created a per pupil inequity by capping some districts below 5% maximum cap
Yep.
dropout,
Yeah.
which means 199 districts capped below 5% max. Do you know where
Yep.
we are at
yeah,
with that?
we are below, but I can't give you that exact number, but I will make sure include that on our report for next month.
Okay.
But yeah, we are below. We didn't, whenever that year happened, I believe Muscatine did not hit that 5% that you're talking about. So we don't get that full amount.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep. Thank you.
With that, we move to announcement, upcoming meetings and events. Tomorrow, December 14th, we have the Riverbend Food Pantry at 4:30 at the Administration Center. December 20th to January 2nd, winter break. January 3rd, return from winter break. January 10th, we meet again here at the City Hall for regular session, board meeting at 7 p.m. January 14th will be the end of second quarter. January 24th, we will have, as a board, a work session at 6 p.m. at the Administration Center. Anybody have any announcement that would like to share with all of us?
I guess the only thing I would like to be able to announce has to deal with the Muscatine Arts Center having a Lego exhibit. I believe that it's something that the school has done a tremendous job, Clint, on this, where they're being bused over to the Art Center, so these kids have a chance from kindergarten up through 6th grade to be able to see this exhibit. And they are excited, and they are learning how to be able to use their numbers, how to use, oh my gosh, art, and there's a combination of science and everything by even just seeing this exhibit. And then it's exciting to see about the fact they plan on bringing their parents and everybody back and wish to see it. So I do thank the school, administration for be able to allow these children to be able to come over and see that exhibit. I've helped out with that as a volunteer, so I get to see that on almost a daily basis this past month.
Thank you, Karen. I really second that. I mean, it's an amazing show at the Art Center, and hopefully everybody will have a chance to go and see that. I would like also to wish everybody a great winter break, great holiday. Spend great time with your loved ones, with your family members, with your friends, with your neighbors and everybody, and hopefully all will be safe, and hopefully everybody will be in safe for next year, for 2022, when we meet again here in this chamber. At this point, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All of you who are in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Good night, everybody.